Narrator, for over 700 years, the world's most brilliant minds, philosophers, mystics, even Sir Isaac Newton, were secretly obsessed with an impossible task, turning lead into gold. They called it the great work, alchemy. And while they never succeeded with physical metals, they left behind a metaphor so profound. It holds the key to unlocking your own great work. Because what if I told you that your greatest weakness, that thing you hate about yourself, the part of you that feels like heavy, worthless lead, is actually the raw material for your greatest strength, your gold? Into strengths, we're all taught to do one of two things with our weaknesses: fix them, or hide them. If you're disorganized, you're told to buy a planner. If you're too sensitive, you're told to toughen up. If you're shy, you're told to just put yourself out there. We treat our flaws like bugs in our software, defects to be patched and eliminated. But what if they aren't bugs at all? What if they are features we just don't understand how to use yet? This isn't another video about positive thinking. This is a practical guide to personal alchemy, drawing on the wisdom of Stoic philosophers, the psychological insights of Carl Jung, and the real-life stories of people who performed this transformation. We are going to break down the 3 crucial stages of turning your lead into gold. The process isn't about ignoring the weakness. It's about looking straight at it. It's about applying the right kind of heat, the right kind of pressure, until it reveals its hidden nature. And it starts with a story from ancient Greece, about a man whose lead was so obvious, he was laughed off the stage. His name was Demosthenes, and his dream was to become the greatest speaker in Athens. His problem? He had a crippling speech impediment. He stammered. He was perpetually out of breath, and his voice was weak. In a culture that worshipped oratory, his weakness wasn't just a flaw, it was a disqualification.
He was lead, through and through. But instead of giving up, Demosthenes became the first true alchemist of the self. He didn't just try to fix his stutter.
He went to the sea, narrator, and filled his mouth with pebbles. He forced himself to articulate complex sentences with his mouth full, the sharp stones a constant, painful reminder of every syllable. Then, he would stand on the shore and practice his speeches, shouting over the roar of the ocean to strengthen his lungs and project his voice. He wasn't hiding his weakness, he was confronting it. He was using the pressure of the pebbles and the resistance of the waves as his alchemical fire. His stutter became his forge. The result? His overcorrection created a speaking style of such power, precision, and control that it became legendary. The lead didn't just vanish. It was transmuted into the very gold he sought.
This is the first, and most crucial, stage of our process. Narrator. Stage 1. Identification and acceptance. The prima materia. The alchemists believed all metals were born from a single chaotic substance, the prima materia or first matter. To begin, they had to understand it completely.
For us, this means we must stop judging our weakness and start investigating it. Visuals: a person at a desk, not with a planner, but with a large blank sheet of paper.
They write a word in the center: procrastination. They begin to draw a mind map around it. Forget, I procrastinate. Ask why. What are you really doing when you procrastinate?
Are you avoiding failure? Are you seeking the thrill of a last-minute deadline? Are you a perfectionist, so afraid of not doing it right that you don't start at all? This is where we bring in the psychologist Carl Jung. He called these rejected parts of ourselves the shadow. It's everything we're ashamed of, everything we try to hide. Jung's great insight was that wholeness doesn't come from destroying the shadow, but from integrating it. As he said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So, your first practical step is to take a shadow inventory. Don't just name your lead. Get to know it. When does it show up? What triggers it? And here's the alchemical question: what hidden benefit does it give you, even a tiny one? Is your sensitivity actually a high-definition empathy? Is your stubbornness a deep well of conviction? Don't look for the good side.
Look for the raw data. This is your prima materia. Once you have it, you can begin the second stage. Narrator. Stage 2. Transmutation and pressure. The calcinatio. Calcinatio was the alchemical process of heating a substance in a crucible to burn away impurities and break it down to its essence.
This is where you apply the heat. Like Demosthenes shouting at the sea, you must create a scenario of deliberate, constructive pressure. Visuals shift to a modern story. A young woman, looking nervous, stands in front of a small crowd at an open mic night. Take Sarah, a programmer who was terrified of public speaking.
Her lead was crippling social anxiety. The typical advice, just imagine everyone in their underwear, was useless. So, she tried alchemy. She identified her real fear, being judged for not knowing the answer. So she found a place where not knowing was the whole point. She joined an improv comedy class. Visual: Sarah in an improv class, laughing, being forced to think on her feet.
It's awkward at first, then becomes more natural. The pressure of improv, the demand to be spontaneous, to fail joyfully, to build on the ideas of others with no script, was her crucible.
It burned away the need to be perfect. She learned to listen, to be present, to trust herself. She didn't fix her anxiety. She transmuted it. Today, she's a highly sought-after conference speaker, not because she's slick, but because she's authentic and an incredible listener on stage. A skill she forged in the fire of improv.
This is the Stoic philosophy in action. As Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your weakness isn't in the way.
It is the way. Find your crucible. If you're impulsive, take up a craft that demands patience, like building model ships or learning calligraphy. If you're disorganized and chaotic, force yourself to plan and execute a multi-day backpacking trip where a forgotten item could be a disaster. Don't run from the weakness. Run through it. Which brings us to the final, magical stage. Narrator. Stage 3. Integration and expression.
The philosopher's stone. The alchemists believed the philosopher's stone was the substance that could turn lead into gold. In our work, the stone isn't a thing, it's a new identity. The weakness doesn't disappear. It becomes the invisible foundation of the new strength. You integrate it. Hannah Gadsby's lead was a late-in-life autism diagnosis.
For years, she struggled to connect with people in the way neurotypical comedians did. But through her show Nanette, she didn't hide her autism, she used its unique perspective as a lens.
Her analytical, pattern-seeking mind, the very thing that made small talk difficult, allowed her to deconstruct comedy and trauma in a way no one had ever seen. The lead became the gold. Stuart Butterfield's lead was a massive failure. His company spent years building a video game called Glitch, which flopped, but in the process of failing, his chaotic, globally dispersed team had built an internal communication tool to keep themselves organized. They integrated the lessons of their failure and expressed that tool to the world. That tool was Slack, now worth billions. The failure was the raw material for the success. Your final step is to rewrite your story. You are not disorganized. You are an agile thinker who thrives in dynamic environments. You are not too sensitive. You are a deeply empathetic leader who can read the emotional reality of a room. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about recognizing the fully transmuted element. The gold is not just shiny lead. It is a new thing entirely, born from the old. The visuals return to the alchemical diagrams from the beginning, now glowing with a golden light. The music swells. Narrator, know your lead. Apply the heat. Own your gold. The alchemists were searching in furnaces and beakers for a secret that was inside them all along. The great work isn't about perfecting a metal. It's about perfecting the self. And the most beautiful part: your lead is unique to you. Which means the gold you are capable of creating will be like no one else's. Your great work is waiting. Start with your lead. Narrator, but this path is not without its dangers. The old alchemists' laboratories were filled with shattered glass and the toxic fumes of failed experiments. For every story of success, there are 100 of failure. Your journey will be no different. As you begin your great work, you will encounter illusions and temptations designed to keep your lead exactly as it is. Here are the 3 most common alchemical traps, and how to avoid them. Narrator, trap number 1, the fool's gold fallacy. This is the most seductive trap of all. It's the act of simply relabeling your lead and calling it gold, without ever putting it through the fire. Visual, a man at a performance review. His boss says, "You consistently miss deadlines." The man puffs out his chest and replies, "I'm not late. I'm a disruptive innovator who works best under pressure." This is toxic positivity disguised as self-acceptance. It's saying, "I'm not disorganized. I'm just a creative spirit," while your life falls into chaos. It's saying, "I'm not stubborn. I'm principled," while you alienate everyone who cares about you. Fool's gold offers the shine without the substance. It skips the crucible.
The antidote is brutal honesty. The gold is not the opposite of the lead, nor is it a clever rebranding. It is what the lead becomes after it has been tested and transformed by pressure. Remember Sarah, the anxious programmer? She didn't just say, "My anxiety makes me a great listener." She went into the fire of improv and forged the listening skills from the raw material of her fear.
Don't just rename the lead. Melt it down. Narrator, trap number 2, the sealed vessel. Alchemy cannot happen in a vacuum. When you heat a substance in a sealed container, the pressure builds until it explodes. The same is true for personal transformation. Visual. A woman is trying to learn guitar. She's alone in her room, getting increasingly frustrated, hiding her mistakes. She scrolls through social media and sees polished videos of expert guitarists, which only makes her feel worse. She puts the guitar down in defeat. This is the trap of trying to transmute your lead in secret. We are so ashamed of our weaknesses that we believe we have to perfect ourselves in private before we can show ourselves to the world. We isolate ourselves. But this isolation becomes its own form of pressure, the crushing weight of shame and solitude. The antidote is a release valve. You must strategically unseal the vessel. This could be a therapist, a coach, a mentor, or even a single trusted friend. It's joining a group where everyone is a beginner, like Sarah's improv class, where failure is the price of admission. Vulnerability is the valve that releases the toxic pressure of shame and allows the constructive heat of the crucible to do its work. Your great work does not have to be a lonely one. Narrator, trap number 3, the perpetual first matter. This is the trap of endless analysis. It's getting so fascinated with stage 1, with identifying and understanding your lead, that you never move on to stage 2. Visual, a person at their desk, surrounded by self-help books. Their journal is filled with pages and pages deconstructing their fear of commitment. A friend calls to invite them out, but they wave it off, saying, "I can't. I'm doing the work." As they open another book, this is using self-awareness as a form of procrastination.
You become a connoisseur of your own flaws. You can explain their origin, their triggers, their psychological underpinnings, but you never actually do anything about them.
Jung warned against this. Making the darkness conscious is the first step, not the last. The antidote is action, however small. The goal isn't a perfect understanding of your lead, it's a tangible transmutation. Don't spend a year trying to understand why you're disorganized. Spend 1 hour organizing a single drawer. Don't write a thesis on your social anxiety. Say hello to one stranger. You don't need a complete map of the ocean to learn how to swim. You just need the courage to get in the water. The music shifts back to the main, inspiring theme. Visuals recap the 3 traps being overcome. The fool's gold crumbles. The sealed vessel safely releases steam. The tangled map resolves into a clear, simple path forward. Narrator, avoid the facile shine of fool's gold. Unseal the vessel and let others in. And do not get lost in the labyrinth of self-analysis. The great work is a verb. It is an active, fiery, and often messy process.
There will be setbacks. There will be moments you feel you've made things worse. This is part of it. The alchemists called this stage the negretto, a blackening, a moment of total decomposition before the new form can emerge.
Embrace it. Because on the other side of that darkness is a substance of immense value and integrity. A strength that is uniquely, unbreakably, and authentically yours. Narrator, now, stop watching and go light the fire. The screen is black. A full 5 seconds of silence pass. Then, the distinct sound of a single match striking, followed by the soft hiss of it catching flame. The narrator's voice returns. Closer, more intimate, as if sharing a secret. Narrator, you're still here. Good. Because the great work is not just about avoiding traps, it's about understanding the specific nature of your own raw material. Not all lead is the same. Some is heavy and dense. Some is brittle. Some is dangerously reactive. To be a true alchemist, you must become a geologist of your own soul. The ancients categorized the world into 4 essential elements: earth, water, air, and fire. We can use this same map to understand the fundamental nature of our weaknesses and discover the specific crucible required for each. A new title card appears, drawn in a style that resembles an ancient woodcut. It depicts the 4 elemental symbols in a circle. The graphic resolves into the symbol for earth, a downward-pointing triangle with a horizontal line through it. Visuals of canyons, ancient trees, and bedrock. Narrator first. There is earth. Your lead is of the earth if it manifests as rigidity, stubbornness, pessimism, a resistance to change. You feel stuck, heavy, immovable. You cling to the way things have always been, because you fear the instability of the unknown. The conventional advice is to be more flexible, but that's like telling a mountain to be a river. The alchemical approach is different. It asks, what is the purpose of this density?
The crucible for earth is deliberate disruption. You must introduce a controlled earthquake into your own life. If you are rigid in your thinking, join a debate club and force yourself to argue passionately for the side you disagree with.
If you are stuck in your routines, take a trip to a country where you don't speak the language, with no itinerary. Volunteer for a task at work far outside your job description. The pressure of forced adaptation will not shatter you. It will reveal the hidden strength within your earth. The stubbornness, when forged, becomes principled conviction. The resistance to change becomes the rock-solid dependability that others build their lives upon. The heaviness becomes gravity, presence. You don't stop being a mountain. You become the mountain that shelters the valley. Narrator, then. There is water. Your lead is water if it manifests as emotional volatility, over-sensitivity, a lack of boundaries. You feel everything, absorbing the moods of others until you drown in them. You are formless, easily swayed, your own needs washing away in the tide of pleasing others. You're told to grow a thicker skin. This is an impossible demand. It is asking the ocean to become a stone. Alchemy asks, what wisdom does this sensitivity provide? The crucible for water is structure. You must build a vessel strong enough to contain your own depth.
The practice is not to feel less, but to hold your feelings with more discipline. Learn the art of formal negotiation, where empathy is a tool, not a liability.
Take up a martial art like Aikido or Tai Chi, which teaches you to redirect energy instead of being overwhelmed by it. Your most crucial exercise, set 1, small, unbreakable boundary. I do not check work emails after 7 p.m. I will not say yes to a request immediately, but will ask for an hour to consider it. At first, this will feel like building a dam with your bare hands, but this pressure contains and channels your power. Your oversensitivity is transmuted into profound intuition. Your formlessness becomes unparalleled adaptability. You are no longer a puddle. You are a deep, powerful current, able to navigate the complex emotional world with a grace others can only dream of. The graphic morphs into the symbol for air, an upward-pointing triangle with a horizontal line. Visuals of clouds racing across the sky, wind in the trees, a mind map sprawling across a whiteboard. Narrator, next. There is air. Your lead is air if it manifests as indecision, distraction. A mind that is always in the clouds. You have 1,000 ideas before breakfast, but you rarely finish a single project. You live in the realm of potential, of theory, perpetually analyzing but never acting. You are all talk. You're told to just focus. This is like telling the wind to stop blowing. Alchemy asks, what is the gift of this perspective? The crucible for air is incarnation. You must bring your ideas down from the clouds and give them flesh and bone. The antidote to abstraction is dirt under your fingernails. Commit to a project with a tangible, physical outcome. Learn pottery. Build a piece of furniture. Code a simple app and release it. Your most powerful exercise is the imperfect deadline: ship something. Every single week.
A blog post. A one-page short story. A finished sketch. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be done. This act of finishing, of making your thoughts real, is the fire that grounds your lightning.
Your scattered thinking is transmuted into visionary creativity. Your analysis paralysis becomes world-class strategic planning. You don't lose your ability to see the big picture. You learn how to build a ladder to get there, one solid, tangible rung at a time. Finally, the graphic becomes the symbol for fire, an upward-pointing triangle. Visuals of a forge, a controlled burn, an engine piston firing, narrator, and finally, there is fire. Your lead is fire if it manifests as impatience, a short temper, reckless impulsivity. You burn hot and fast, igniting projects with incredible passion, but often burning out or burning bridges in the process. Your energy is a wildfire, powerful, but destructive and uncontrolled. You're told to calm down. This is like asking a star to be less bright. Alchemy asks, where does this heat want to go? The crucible for fire is patience. Not the absence of energy, but the deliberate, focused channeling of it. You must find a practice that rewards slow, meticulous, sustained effort. Tend to a bonsai tree, where a single impatient snip can destroy decades of growth. Learn the art of the traditional Japanese tea ceremony. Or, most powerfully, become a mentor. The task of patiently nurturing another person's growth will force you to temper your own flame. Your impatience, when harnessed, becomes a legendary drive for results. Your temper becomes passionate, charismatic leadership. The wildfire is contained within the engine. You become the catalyst who can not only start the reaction, but sustain it until the great work is complete. Narrator: earth, water, air, fire. You are not just one. You are a unique combination of all. But you will have a dominant element, a primary form of lead that is the starting point for your work. Do not resent it. Do not fight its nature. A river cannot be faulted for being wet, nor a flame for being hot. Your task is not to change your element, it is to become a master of it. To learn its hidden properties, to respect its power, and to build the precise crucible that will reveal its gold. The elements are within you, the work is in front of you. Narrator: but a map is not the journey, and a diagnosis is not the cure. To walk this path, you will need more than knowledge. You will need tools. The Alchemist's workshop was not an empty room, it was filled with specific instruments, each designed for a crucial part of the process. A mortar and pestle to grind. A bellows to stoke the flame. A retort to distill. Your laboratory is your own life. And for your work, you will need 3 essential instruments. The graphic focuses on a sketch of a detailed journal. Visuals shift to a modern, high-quality notebook. A hand writes with deliberate care. Narrator: first, you need a lab notebook. This is not a diary for your feelings. It is a scientific journal for your data. The goal is not to vent, but to observe. To become a dispassionate scientist of your own soul. Every time your lead shows up, your anger, your anxiety, your procrastination, you must record it like a failed experiment. Don't write, "I got mad today." Write down the objective data. Column 1, the stimulus. What was the exact trigger?
My colleague presented my idea as their own in the meeting. Column 2, the reaction. What were the physical sensations and the automatic thoughts? Face felt hot. Jaw clenched. Thought, they're trying to humiliate me. I am invisible. Column 3, the alchemical question. Here's where the work happens.
Don't ask, "How do I stop this?" Ask, "What is the raw energy here? And what is its purpose?" The energy is rage. Its purpose is to defend my territory and my value. Can this defensive energy be channeled into a more precise, less destructive action? Could I have spoken up calmly but firmly in the moment? This notebook is your crucible on paper. It transforms a messy, emotional reaction into a set of data points you can work with. It is the single most powerful tool for mastering stage 1 and making the darkness conscious. Narrator, second. You need a scrying mirror. The alchemists used polished stones or bowls of water to scry for hidden knowledge. For us, the mirror reveals the one thing we can never see on our own, ourselves as others see us. Your lead is often a blind spot. You might think you're being helpfully direct. While the world experiences you as brutally insensitive, you may see yourself as spontaneous and creative. While your team sees you as unreliable and chaotic, the mirror is the tool of courageous, structured feedback. It's the antidote to the sealed vessel. This is not about asking your friends, "What do you like about me?" It is about finding a small handful of people you trust to tell you the truth, and asking them one terrifyingly specific question. I am undertaking a great work of self-improvement. To help me, could you tell me what my lead looks like from your perspective? What is the one challenging behavior you see in me that I might be blind to? Listen without defending. Write down what you hear in your lab notebook. The reflection may be distorted. It may be painful. But somewhere in that reflection is the truth you need to begin stage 2. It provides the brutal, loving clarity required to find your gold. Narrator, finally, you need a philosopher's compass. The crucible is hot. The work is hard. You will want to quit. Applying pressure to your greatest weakness is, by definition, uncomfortable. Without a powerful reason to stay in the fire, you will inevitably leap out.
The compass is your why. It is not a goal, like, get a promotion, or lose 10 pounds. It is a direction. A true north. A guiding value that gives meaning to the suffering of transformation.
When Martin Luther King Jr. practiced radical nonviolence, he was putting his fire element into the most intense crucible imaginable. The natural impulse to fight back, to meet rage with rage, had to be transmuted into an unwavering, active force for peace. What kept him in that fire? His compass, a non-negotiable belief in justice and human dignity. To find your compass, you must answer the ultimate alchemical question: for the sake of what? For the sake of what will you endure the embarrassment of the improv class? For the sake of what will you face the boredom of the calligraphy pen? For the sake of what will you confront your own reflection in the mirror? If the answer is merely to be a better person, the fire will be too hot. But if the answer is to be the kind of parent my child can rely on, or to build a company that solves a real human problem, or to create art that makes people feel less alone, then you have found your compass. That is the fuel for the fire. That is what makes the work not just necessary, but meaningful. The visuals return to the modern aesthetic. We see a person's desk. On it sits a beautiful notebook, a small mirror, and an old brass compass. The person's hand enters the frame and picks up the notebook, opening it to a fresh page. Narrator, the notebook to understand the past, the mirror to see the present, the compass to guide the future. These are the instruments of your craft. But know this: no tool works by itself. The finest alchemical equipment is useless without the alchemist's most essential, intangible asset: patience.
The alchemists wrote of the solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. They understood that true transformation happens in cycles.
There are moments of breakthrough, and there are long periods of quiet waiting. You will have days where the lead feels heavier than ever. You will try to build your dam, and the water will wash it away. You will try to ground your ideas, and the wind will scatter them. You will try to temper your fire, and you will get burned. This is not failure. It is part of the process. It is the slow cooling of the metal after it has been in the forge. It is the settling of the elements before they can be recombined into a new, more stable form. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. Do not mistake a setback for a defeat. The great work is not a weekend project. It is the labor of a lifetime, and the gold you seek is not a destination. It is the integrity and wisdom forged in the journey itself. The music slowly builds back to the main, inspiring theme. The shot of the desk widens to show the person is now looking out a window at a sunrise. They have a small, determined smile on their face. Narrator, look at your lead. Identify your element. Assemble your tools. Set your compass. And begin. The sun is rising.